counting down from the top 15 prospects all the way down to number one here in this episode 2. My name is Jacob Boyd, and I'm presenting that to you today. I'm going to get right into it. We're going to be starting off with the number 15 prospect in the Sharks organization. I have at number 15 Eric Polkamp. He was drafted in the 5th round of the 2023 NHL draft. He's only 19 years old and a bit of a stocky frame at 205 pounds. He's a little undersized at 5'11", but he is a right shot defenseman, which you love to see. He has an impact shot and has a willingness to play the body, which is another good sign for a slighter framed player. I thought he had a great prospects game, as well as when he was paired with Luca Cagnoni in that prospect scrimmage. He might have been that might have been one of the best pairings of that night. So look forward to seeing more gameplay of him. A quick and funny story about him, though, was that when Polkamp was drafted, he wasn't watching the draft at all. He was actually at the gym getting his pump on, he said. He was in the middle of a set when his phone started just blowing up on him. And that's actually how he found out that he was drafted. So, props to him. That's a really cool story. But if Polkamp wants to see the NHL or get NHL minutes, he'll really need to improve his mobility and fitness at the next level, because he has the tools with that big shot, and he hits really well for his size. So that's something that you want to see him improve on. But Polkamp, he played in the USHL last year, but caught a lot of the eyes of scouts, which he's going to play for Bemidji State University in Minnesota in the fall. So look forward to seeing him in the NCAA next year. I believe this is, a good fit for him. The reasons why I think that's a good fit is because, he'll get plenty of playing time for Bemidji State. It's not like he's going to go to Minnesota and, play on the 3rd, 4th line, or, be in and out of the lineup as well. So I think this is a great fit for him. Polkamp will most likely stay in college, all 4 years, and then move to the AHL. Unless, development really, takes the next step, then he may get, in before that, but look for him to be a 4-year guy in college. But yeah, that is my number 15. So moving on to number 14, I have Eetu Makiniemi. He was drafted in the 4th round of the 2017 NHL draft by the Carolina Hurricanes. He is 24 years old. He's 6'2", 183 pounder out of Finland. Makiniemi was the goalie that came over in the Brent Burns trade. Before coming over, he played, with the Chicago Wolves of the AHL, which was a team that was really good, and a lot of people took notice of Makiniemi there. And so his first year, he played 14 games. He posted a 2.06 goals against average and a .922 save percentage, which is phenomenal. And obviously with that save percentage, with that goals against average, comes the 11-2-1 record in his first pro season as a goalie. And that is just incredible. After the trade, Makiniemi obviously came over to San Jose and played with the Barracuda. He played 22 games, posted a 2.96 goals against and a .900 save percentage. He was only 8-10-3 on coming over, but it was a much worse Barracuda team than he played for in Chicago with the Chicago Wolves. So it's hard to really tell, from a good team to a bad team, how much that affected him. So, we'll see, this coming year, and hopefully he can get on the, plus side of the 900 save percentage, and hopefully lower twos goals against average this coming season, like he did with the good Wolves team. My opinion is a lot higher than most Sharks fans when it comes to Makiniemi, as I think he can be a number one goalie in the future. Or if one of the two that we got in Blackwood and Kakinen don't pan out, you may get to see another call up for Makiniemi this season, because he did get a cup of coffee with the Sharks last year while going 1-0-1 with a 2.13 goals against average and a 906 save percentage with the Sharks last year. So, he can come up and do good for the Sharks. I'm looking forward to seeing him improve in his development this season before getting that call up as well. Moving on to number 13, I have Jake Furlong. Jake Furlong was drafted in the 5th round of the 2022 draft. He is 19 years old, 6'1", 190-pound left shot defenseman out of Nova Scotia. Furlong has, really good hockey IQ, decent size, good defensive positioning, and has a good offensive upside. You're really going to see him skate well with the puck. You'll probably see good breakouts. I would like to see him, more this coming season with his breakouts. So I would like to see that, but really good offensive zone entries and things of that nature. He does lack skating speed, speed and defensive consistencies. But just like most, young players, you're going to see defensive, mishaps and things of that nature. But you want to see these guys improve on those moving forward. Furlong has played with the Halifax Mooseheads in the QMJHL for the past 3 seasons. And getting better every single year, which you love to see from young players, is that progression. And you hope to see that 4th season as, the coming out party to, move into a bigger role next season. The last 2 seasons he's played every game, about 67 games played, 7 goals, 50 points, plus 47, plus minus. So you're getting a two-way guy, but in the QMJHL, I think you're gonna see a bigger plus minus for some guys that can really score the puck, and that's something that he can do on the defensive side. He also got a good amount of playoff time with 21 games played, 1 goal, 10 assists, and was a plus 14 on a great Halifax team. But it is encouraging to see Furlong's progression coming this next season with Halifax. So stay tuned, and you'll hopefully see another great season by Jake Furlong. Moving on to number 12, I have Tristan Robbins. He was drafted in the 2nd round of the 2022 NHL draft. He's 21 years old and is 5'11", 185 pounds out of Canada. Robbins had a great season in the WHL for his draft plus 1 year when he scored 73 points for the Saskatoon Blades. But when he followed up after that draft year, he had 78 points with the same WHL team the year on his plus 2 year. So after that, he got the call up to the AHL Barracuda. And played 64 games played last year. He had 17 goals, 21 assists with 38 points, but was a minus 13. So in my estimations, Robbins can really shoot the puck. He really has a great shot and has good offensive instincts, but really is lackluster in the defensive zone. So you would like to see, him back check more. You'd like to see him in all 3 zones better, actually. So in the neutral zone as well. You want to see him really play hard on the stick, defensively and create those turnovers and play a 200-foot game. And that's what's really going to get Robbins to the next level. You did see Robbins, get a cup of coffee in the NHL last year with the 2 games played, but really did not show what Sharks fans were hoping, like a Daniil Gushkin did. And so we'll see how his development is in the near future and if Robbins could have a good AHL season with the Barracuda. But moving on to number 11, I have Cam Lund. He was drafted in the second round of the 2022 NHL draft. He is 19 years old, and he's a big-bodied, 6'2", 192-pound forward out of Massachusetts. Lund played for the Green Bay Gamblers out of the USHL his draft plus 1 year and scored 50 points in 62 games, but was a minus 22, which showed kind of that lack of defensive posture with many of these young guys that really are in that plus 1 year. Lund has a large frame, and he is very skilled, a scoring forward who plays with pace. He is good with the puck on his stick, but not as much without the puck. He doesn't know where to be sometimes when it comes to, moving off the puck, and he kind of drifts out wide, sometimes not going into those scoring areas when you want him to kind of go into those scoring areas. But when he goes into the scoring areas, there's no shot, and so he's not going out wide when he should probably be asking for the puck wider. So you want to see some of those things, shored up in his game next season. And yeah, we hope to see that progression. He is going to be playing for Northeastern University, or he did play for Northeastern University last year, I should say. And he's going to play this year as well. But he played 35 games played last year, 7 goals, 16 assists, 23 points on a team that is very well known for their defensive posture. I think that coach at Northeastern really emphasizes D-zone responsibility, which you've seen in Lund's game really progressed from being a minus 22 with the Green Bay Gamblers to, a plus player for this Northeastern team last year. And you really seen those, like him come back and back check, and that's what you really want to see in some of these young guys. But it really hurt him on the, offensive, point production last year, where he only produced 23 points in 35 games, where you would hope to see that, jumped up a little bit higher this coming season. With not losing that defensive responsibility like he had last year. I do think his offensive game and creativity took a hit because of that. So, moving forward, let's see what happens. Let's see if his two-way game can really develop, and see where his development takes him next year. Moving on to number 10, I have Mattias Hävelid. He was drafted in the second round of the 2022 NHL draft. He is only 19 years old, but a smaller frame, 5'10", 176-pound right shot defenseman out of Sweden. Hävelid played on the same team as Philip Bysted out of the Sweden's top league, the SHL, and he played on Linköping. A lot of Sharks fans were hoping for a good season from Hävelid. But it was really disappointing because, he got hurt early on into the season. He really started off, just doing the things that, you thought a young player new to the SHL would have. He got some playing time towards the end, but he played a total of 25 games played, 4 goals, 2 assists, 6 points. But I would say he really showed out during Sharks Dev Camp this year, as he was fully healthy and had one of the better showings in that scrimmage. So, I'm actually hopeful for his development. I'm really excited about Mattias Hävelid. And the first thing you really notice with him is his big shot, big heavy shot out of it's fast and accurate. Where you don't get to see these young guys have those big boomer shots with accuracy. He has it all. And so I'm really looking forward to his development there, in terms of, his rounding out his overall game as like a smaller NHL defender. So we'll see how he plays. He's also very, very strong defensively. He'll be physical at the point of attack. He'll play in the defensive zone, so Sharks fans can look for, Matthias Havlid to play like a heavy two-way game and, be able to be in those top two forward groups in the NHL in years to come. So looking forward to seeing Matthias Havlid not having any injuries this coming season, because that's what hampered him last year. Moving on to number 9, I have Leon Gowenke. He was drafted in the 5th round of the 2017 NHL draft. He was drafted by the Winnipeg Jets, and he is 24 years old. He's 6'1", 198 pound, right shot defenseman again, out of Germany. He was acquired in that trade with Nikoli Knyzhov, who was a smaller frame D-man with upside, but I think the Sharks wanted to go a different route and have a more NHL ready type of defender. Well, defenseman. He's not really much of a defender. I think as a Sharks fan, you want to see him get stronger defensively. I think that he's kind of an all offensive guy, and you'll see him on the power play if and when he makes it to the NHL, hopefully sooner rather than later, because our D core could use improvements on that. But here nor there, he played with the Manitoba Moose in the AHL last year, played 68 games, had 20 goals, 25 assists, and 45 points, which was, a really good 4th-year AHL kind of season. And he's kind of been a lifer AHLer so far, but we're hoping to see that next step with him. I think he's going to really start in the Barracuda, though. I know a lot of, Sharks pundits have been talking about that he may make the team. I highly doubt it. I understand that we need a better power play unit and whatnot, but you're going to really have to see him develop with, the Barracuda before you see him make an impact in the NHL. I think we already have NHL caliber defenders, and we want to see what those guys can do first before, I think, moving Gowenke up above some of those players. Unless he just shows out in camp, in training camp, and just outright takes the job from, say, a Burrows. So we'll see. Maybe I'm wrong, but if he does, good. We might have a 24-year-old that can really, make the transition to the NHL and do good things. So I look forward to that. But moving on to number 8, I have Luca Cagnoni. Luca Cagnoni was, drafted a lot lower than what most people, expected. He was drafted in the 4th round of the 2023 NHL draft. He was graded, round 1, round 2, and we got him in the 4th round. So, this player is dynamic. He is 18 years old. He's small, 5'9", 183 pound left shot defenseman out of BC, Canada. So he does play for the WHL Winterhawks, and he played 67 games, 17 goals, 47 assists with 64 points as a plus 11. Meanwhile, in the playoffs, he had 9 games played, 1 goal, 6 assists, but was a -6. But if you did watch his game, you'll see like high-end offensive talent traits, such as great hockey IQ, stick handling, transitional play, outlet passing, edge work, anything that you see with a great offensive-minded player, he has all those traits. He's actually not bad with defensive gap control as well. So that's hopeful in the defensive zone. And obviously one of the best ones in the Sharks dev camp scrimmage. So that I was at, it was amazing how, he played. He showed some of that offensive prowess in that dev camp, like I was saying, when he did his 360 spinorama to gather the offensive zone while, getting pressured by the D-men and then just going right around him. And then he passed the puck up on that one, but I just really have high hopes for Luka. And one thing that, any of these young players need to improve on is that defensive quality. So you're hoping that, he really, gets that going. So for Luka, Cagnoni is going to be in the WHL next year. So you hope he really impresses there and maybe get some AHL action next year at the end when it comes playoff time. So really looking forward to what his development is. But moving on to number 7, I have Kasper Holttunen. He was drafted in the second round of the 2023 NHL draft. He's 18 years old and he's 6'3", 196-pound right shot winger out of Finland. Big body. He played for HIFK Sarja and Liga last year. He really had a breakout under 18 juniors where he scored 10 goals, 10 assists in only 17 games. Holttunen, big body, plays a heavy style of play. He will use his big frame to knock people off the puck in the defensive zone, and you love to see that. Good defensive posture, defensive responsibility. I think he uses that because of his foot speed is a little bit slower, but that's one thing that Holttunen really needs to work on is his skating at the next level. You see his foot speed's very, very not good at all, but if he does improve it slightly, he can become a middle 6 forward in the NHL, but a power play specialist because the guy has an elite shot. You guys will see that when he was at this prospect scrimmage and he was taking them shots, he was going top bar down, like every time he shot the puck, and it had pace on it. So you guys are gonna love his shot, and hopefully that gets him to the NHL one day. And you're really gonna look forward to him shooting the puck on the power play. So that would be my number 7. So moving on to number 6, I have Daniil Gushkin. He was drafted in the 3rd round of the 2020 NHL draft. He's 21 years old. He's 5'10", 181-pound winger out of Russia. He played with the Barracuda last season, where he played 67 games, 22 goals, 23 assists. But was a -18, just like many of these Sharks players, minus everywhere along the board. But he did have a small cup of coffee in the NHL where he scored a goal and an assist, was -1. But you really love to see, another good season with the Barracuda, and hopefully that defensive responsibility comes into his game. That's going to really round out Gushkin's play, and if he wants to get called up again this year. But I really like his offensive upside. He has a great shot. He can play defense when he wants to, even with that slider of a frame at 5'10". You hope to see him grow that defensive posture with the Barracuda next season and really develop that. But I think he has that ability to grind it out along the boards and not get pushed around. And you hope to see him make those improvements and maybe get some cup of coffee again this year towards the end of the season. But moving on to number 5, I have Ethan Cardwell. He was drafted in the 4th round of the 2021 NHL draft. He's 21 years old. He's 5'11", 192 pound, right shot winger out of Canada. He played for the Barrie Colts of the OHL and played 62 games with 43 goals, 47 assists, 90 points, and a plus 23 season last year. He also had a great playoffs with 12 games played, 6 goals, 5 assists, 11 points, and a -3. A huge honor for him was being selected as the Sharks Prospect of the Year last year. Just a huge honor, and he really deserved it for the up and play that he showed. Sharks fans, Sharks organization, just a great honor for him, and great play. But some things Sharks fans will like about him is that he has that tenacity to go after the puck all the time. He has a good shot. He finds open spaces in the offensive zone regularly. Some room for improvements is his decision making at times is lackluster, but I can see him being on one of those top 2 lines with the Barracuda next season, and you hope to see him really develop and score a ton of goals for the Barracuda. But we'll see how he is, and maybe he lights it up and gets a taste of the NHL this coming season. But you really think that he might get just seasoning before making any steps to the NHL, maybe late next season. Moving on to number 4, I have Shakir Mukhamadullin. He was drafted in round 1 of the 2020 NHL draft. He is 21 years old and is a big 6'4", 190 pound left shot defenseman out of Russia. He played for the Russian Salavat Yulev UFA of the KHL. He played 67 games with 6 goals, 19 assists, and 25 points with a plus 16 point plus minus. Really unheard of for a defenseman KHL first year player for them. I think that's some really big numbers for any KHL player, and I just think that he gets talked about from Sharks writers, from pundits, elsewhere, that he just doesn't give it to them where he's a great player, but with those numbers alone in that league is really hard to do. You don't even see some offensive players put up those numbers, and a plus 16 in the KHL's nothing to ride shit home about. So I love his upside. He also played 12 games with the Barracuda last year. He had 1 goal, 9 assists, and 10 points and a +1 with the Barracuda at the end of the year last year. And those numbers, he more than impressed me. And, with his game, I think that he really stepped up and came over into NHL ice and really produced and really understood that people get on you a little bit quicker with the smaller rink. And so I was really impressed by his game and the transition from the bigger ice to the smaller ice. I just couldn't look past that, because I think still a lot of people write bad about him, and I don't know why. And I guess I'll see maybe why this coming season when he plays for the Barracuda. But I look to have him be one of our best defensemen next year in the Barracuda in the AHL. So we'll see. But Mukhamadullin really stepped into the North American ice and produced right away. So down the stretch, he got a bunch of assists. So I'm so happy for him. Mukhamadullin, is a big boy. He can skate decently with a cannon of a one-timer. He's all over the place with scouts, though, like I said, where some say that he plays offense too much. Some say that he doesn't play defense. But then you hear other people say he does play defense only and he doesn't have much offensive upside. Well, we're going to see, what he can do at the AHL level on a consistent basis next season. So I believe, in watching him in that AHL stint, he does both very well. He can come up in transition. He can play defense. Obviously, you want to see him, solidify that front of the net a little bit better than he did last year when he came over. But I think that will come over with time, especially using that strong 6'4" frame. Look for this guy to be the Sharks' top 2 pairing in the NHL someday. I'm really looking forward to Mukhamadullin. But moving on to number 3, I have Filip Bystedt. He was drafted in the first round of the 2022 draft. He's 19 years old. He's 6'4", 198-pound center out of Sweden. He played for Linköping in the SHL and was a Rookie of the Year while playing 45 games, 7 goals, 13 assists, 20 points, -20. But on a team that really struggled. He then played great in the under-20 World Junior Championships with 7 games played, 4 goals, 6 assists, and was a +8 against the same age players, and played great when he played in that international tournament where he had 13 games played, 8 goals, 15 assists, and a +14, and was one of Sweden's best players in both tournaments, in which he showed strong puck ozone entries, and he had great hands around the net when he went into the dirty areas for the goals. He used that big body to shield incoming, point shots, and regularly getting the rebounds from those point shots and putting them home. You love to see that. He has a good shot as well, which will translate to the NHL. Bystedt will again play for Linköping of the SHL next year, and which puts him on a timeline of like maybe 2025 NHL regular ice time, if development all goes to plan. Things he needs to improve on is his skating, as that was a knock on him in his draft year, but I still think that he does need to improve on that if he wants to be like a top line, top 2 center in the NHL someday. So I think that he's a 3rd line center at the moment, but he has the chance to be that 2nd line center one day. Moving on to number 2, I have Quentin Musty. He was drafted in the first round of the 2023 NHL draft. He's 18 years old. He's 6'2", 201 pounds, winger out of New York. He played for the Sudbury Wolves. He played for the Sudbury Wolves of the OHL last season, in which he had 53 games played, 26 goals, 52 assists, +16. So Musty is just he had a really good season and was really impressive with creating plays, has a great shot, good straight line speed, just does all the little things very well, and you'd love to see him, in his development this coming season. Something, that he lacked was, physical play and back check. But when I seen him in the prospect scrimmage at the Sharks Dev Camp, he did all the things that you want to see in that back check. He laid a huge hit in the offensive zone. I think it was on Nikoli Knyzhov. I'm sorry, Guriev, and he flattened a guy that was like 6'6" or 6'5" defenseman and just ran him over, and you'd love to see it. He can skate, he can weave through defenders, he gets by just regular stick checks with ease. You look forward to seeing what Musty can do, in another season with Sudbury, and hopefully maybe get a taste of the AHL at the end of the year next year. We'll see. Moving on to number 1. Obviously, I think most Sharks fans understand that Will Smith was drafted number 4 for a reason in the first round of the 2023 NHL draft. He's 18 years old. He's 6 foot, 181 pounds. He's a center out of Massachusetts. He played for the U.S. men's development team last year and played 60 games, 51 goals, 76 points, and a whopping 127 points. Plus 71. That guy is just going to kill it wherever he goes. And he played another great World Junior Championship he played 7 games, 9 goals, 11 assists, and 20 points, plus 15. Smith was on the top line of one of the best lines in junior hockey last year, and he was the main play driver and key cog of that group. The guy just, zone entry, deking, passing, creating, just everything you want in a player at the center position. He's gonna create for that goal, whether he scores it or whether a teammate scores it. He's gonna make it easier on his line mates. You can expect Smith to be the Sharks' top center one day. He's the top center of the future. Things he needs to improve on is his back check. He really plays forward in the offensive zone. He really wants to stretch you out. He finds the holes in the defense where he can get the advantage. But sometimes if there is a turnover or just a bad pass, he is going to be out of position. So you just look to see if he can shore up, when he makes those runs. That's going to be where he is going to need to improve upon his hockey IQ. But his hockey IQ is amazing, but just knowing when to go and when to kind of, lay back, going out of the zone. His back check does need to improve. His defensive positioning or posture just needs to improve a little bit. You look forward to watching this guy come to the NHL in a year or two, or whatever, however long he's going to stay in Boston College. You just know that this guy's going to produce at the next level. So the Sharks' future is on its way. But yeah, that does it for me today. Thanks for watching, guys. And if you liked this content, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe. I look forward to bringing you guys more Sharks content all year round. Peace.